Are the interstates about to close? And are we on the edge of an economic depression? Hey everybody, it's Magic Prepper, and today we're going to talk about whether or not the interstates are about to close, and whether or not we're on the edge of economic depression. But first off, the interstate situation is something you have to pay very close attention to right now. With that restricted flow of travel, are you able to be where you need to be? Are you expecting to be somewhere else in the relative future? Do you need to make that move now? Do you need to get to where your safety zone is now? That's a question you have to ask yourself. In order to stop the spread of everything that's going on right now, the interstates are very likely on the list of things that are going to be restricted or even possibly fully shut down. With the dominoes falling the way they are, and each industry and each piece of infrastructure slowly being affected day by day, with notices coming out from your governors and from your president on a daily basis, and information changing very quickly, we have to expect for these dominoes to keep falling. And one of the next ones on the list of things that's going to fall is our ability to travel within state to state, with our ability to travel from different places within our own country. Travel restrictions are already abound for other countries traveling in and out of our area, but now they're going to start shutting down the interstates so that we can't even leave our own states. And that's because they're trying to stop the flow of everything that's happening right now. Now imagine there's going to be a lot of other situations that arise from this that maybe we haven't thought of. You're worried about traveling. You're worried about getting back to your family, getting back to your location of safety, getting back to your bug out area if that's where you're planning on going soon if things get worse and worse and worse. But you also have to be considering of how much it's going to affect logistics in general. How many truck drivers are going to be shut down? How many deliveries are going to be hindered? How often are the shipments actually going to arrive at our stores? These are things we have to very closely pay attention to right now because it's getting a little hectic. Just so you're aware, I am very, very concerned about interstate travel, but even more so, I'm concerned about the economic impact of everything that's happening right now and what it will continue to be impacted by when things like the interstates are restricted and then eventually shut down, which is very likely to happen in the short future here. They don't lightly shut down industry. They don't lightly hurt the economy on purpose. This is all happening in a very strange way. And if this is exactly what you thought would happen during an event like the one we're in right now, then kudos to you, because it's not exactly how I thought this whole thing would play out. And it's very interesting to see all of these things falling together at one time, okay? Now, the idea of being on the edge of an economic depression has been around for a long time. This isn't just because of what's going on in the world right now. This isn't just because we're saying everything's in crisis mode, obviously the economy is going to crash too. No, that's not it. We've been talking about the economy being falsely propped up for years now. It has been living off of things that aren't tangible for a long time. And a lot of us have already had the idea from a long time ago that the economy was actually very fragile and it was ready for one small pin to prick that bubble to cause that pop, where we're starting to see exactly what that pin was and when that pop was right now. And honestly, if you don't believe me, I do have a video from months ago that is literally called Economic Collapse 2020. And I'll go ahead and put it up here on the screen so you can check that video out and kind of get some of my insight from it months ago. But that is where we're at now. Things are starting to unfold. And yes, interstate travel, scary if they're shutting it down, only because you might not be where you want to be right now. And I know a lot of people who are changing their plans or changing their location right this second in order to avoid a situation like that happening. But even more scary than that, and I'm not trying to scare anyone here, I'm just sharing my personal beliefs, opinions, and some of my fears, to be honest with you, about what's going on right now. I'm not going to pretend like I'm completely fearless in this situation. An economic collapse is the worst thing that could happen. It is terrible. It's a very, very bad thing when it comes to the average person's ability to survive their day-to-day routine. And we are now in a situation where this outside influence that wasn't necessarily predicted or not something we all saw coming is starting to cause ripples through the economy that we're not going to be able to just come back to right away. We're not going to be able to suddenly retract from those. We're not going to bounce right back as if it's not a big deal. Doesn't matter how much stimulus you inject into the system. This is really something to watch like very closely. If you were around in 2008, you remember how things were then. But there was no outlying scenario going on at the same exact time in 2008 like there is right now. This effect is coming from multiple things happening all at the same time. And you're aware of all those things. And we're trying to avoid certain verbiage these days on YouTube because we all know what's going on. But it is something to be very concerned about. And please make sure you're taking care of yourself. Make sure that you have some funds in reserve. Don't spend every dollar you have on supplies if you don't have a lot of money in savings. We have to be careful about our spending, and we have to be careful about what is going to happen next. And I will tell you, as somebody who has many employees and employs a lot of people, that people are not necessarily secure in their jobs at this point. Things are getting scary. I am very concerned about people maintaining their quality of life and their ability to pay their bills. And it's not because companies are greedy or companies are worried about hitting the bottom line. It's because literally people aren't spending money unless you're a grocery store, unless you're a gun store, or unless maybe a home improvement store. But besides that, everybody else is getting flatlined. And it's very, very sad to see a lot of people that are suddenly out of work. And that's happening very quickly. And do you think those people who basically live paycheck to paycheck, are going to be able to just take 3, 4, however many weeks off that this whole thing might cause them to have to be off, get whatever benefits they might get at a much more reduced pay rate? Do you think they're going to be able to come back and pay all their bills, pay their debt, keep all their loans up to date? No. So if that's the case, you need to be very concerned about what's going on right now. So if you're not where you need to be, get there now. If you're somewhere very far away and getting to where you need to go is questionable based on what's going on right now, make the right choice. You don't necessarily know if this could happen while you're en route. You don't want to drive from Maine to Washington and expect the closures not to happen in between that trip. And at the same time, you don't want to wait until tomorrow to make that 2-hour drive back from your relative's house just because you don't feel like being awake all night driving. So make the right choices. Keep a go bag in your vehicle right now at all times. If you don't already, please put something together and put it in your vehicle. There's a lot of new preppers in the world right now. A lot of new people worried about preparation. Teach them how to build a go bag. Teach them how to get a get home bag and put it in their vehicle. Make sure they have the supplies they need and try to help them out if maybe they don't. But if you're not sure about your get home bag or something you can keep in your vehicle to help keep you safe and get back home if you're not able to drive or get to where you need to go, I'll also put a link of that video I put out a long time ago, very early on this channel, up here on the screen. And yeah, maybe the quality is not what it is these days for the channel, but you can at least see what I think somebody could use as a survival bag to get home from their vehicle if they're ever stuck in a situation they don't want to be in. So thank you guys so much for checking out this video. I hope everyone out there stays safe, stays prepared. Like, share, and subscribe to the video. If you want to hit the button down below to help the channel out as well, that's also appreciated because things are getting very, very tight. And the tighter you squeeze, the more things slip between your fingers, and the next thing you know, things are out of hand, right? So we want to make sure that we're not getting to that point yet, and the more people we prepare and the more people that we communicate with and get ready, the better off we're all going to be. So interstate closures, they're probably coming, and economic depression, most important thing to keep an eye on. That's going to be it for Magic Prepper.